I fly a lot in my line of work, probably around 100 airline flights every year. And as a result, there's been some interesting things that I've witnessed, some funny experience, a few scary moments. And then there was probably the worst time when I caused a panic on an airplane, and everyone was terrified, and it was all my fault. Here's what happened. I was on a flight after a work conference, flying from Orlando, Florida, back to Cincinnati. A couple of my coworkers were on the flight with us, and one named Raphael was sitting right across the aisle from me. And we're flying, and it's an uneventful flight. But as the plane is getting ready to, we start to feel it descend, you hear over the PA system the pilot who says, ladies and gentlemen, we're getting ready to descend into Cincinnati. Please put your seats up, your tray tables, blah, blah, blah. So, okay, so we're getting ready. It's usually only about 10, 15 minutes till you're on the ground from that moment. And so put all the stuff up. I'm reading a book. And then just nothing happens and nothing happens. It's like 20 minutes. It's 40 minutes. It's like an hour that we're still in the air. Like, what is going on? No announcements, no anything. So I looked at Raphael and I go, doesn't it seem like we've been approaching Cincinnati for a long time? And the person sitting next to him in the window seat says, yeah, I've been watching out the window. We keep flying over the stadiums in downtown Cincinnati over and over and over. We're just circling Cincinnati. Well, that happens sometimes, right? Some kind of a holding pattern, some kind of a weather thing, but this is a beautiful sunny day. You know, my anxiety goes up just a notch. I wonder if something's wrong. All of a sudden, the cockpit door, boom, bangs open, and out comes one of the pilots. And he doesn't say anything. He just walks back. We're sitting right by the wings. And this pilot, I don't know if he's the pilot or the co-pilot or the captain or the co-captain, I don't know. But he walks straight back, stops at our row, leans out over Raphael's lap, looks out the window. He doesn't say a word. He just looks out, and then he sits up and he goes, And he turns around and he walks back to the cockpit and he closes the door. And everyone in the plane was quiet and like, what was that all about? And people, you hear people, yeah, that's a little weird. I've never seen that before. That's unusual. And I go, what do you, so we start having this conversation in our little, me and this other guy next to Raphael and him and the person sitting next to me about, we kind of had like this nervous laughter, like, well, I've never seen that before. And they said, I've never seen that before either. I wonder, what was he doing? Now, I said, I bet you he's just doing a visual inspection of the wing. I said, up in the cockpit, they have these flap indicator lights that show if the flaps are properly set for landing. Everyone looks at me like, wow, this guy knows something about aviation. I really don't. I just read Michael Crichton's book, Airframe, and there's part of the plot is these flap indicators, lights, and the flaps on an airplane. And so I'm sharing my wisdom. I think it's the flap indicator light. And he probably just had to do a visual inspection of the wing, which made everybody feel a little more comfortable around us because clearly somebody back in, seat 13A knows what they're talking about. And but we're still kind of circling, we're waiting, and then all of a sudden you hear the captain come on the PA system, and here's what he says. Here's all you hear. Ladies and gentlemen. Nothing else. Just stops. Ladies and gentlemen. Well, I decide this would be the perfect moment for a joke. Who doesn't love a clever, funny joke? So this is my opportunity. So right after he says, ladies and gentlemen, a split second later, I join in, I cover my mouth, and I say, we've lost a wheel and we're not going to be able to land. That's hilarious. The guy sitting next to me chuckles. Raphael finds that delightfully hilarious. The person that we all have a little bit of a laugh because, clearly that'd be a problem. Well, 2 rows up from me and across the aisle, a woman turns around and she is an old lady. I mean, like going for the record old. And white hair, and she turns around and her face is white as a ghost, and she says, "We've lost a wheel." And I was like, "Well, no, not really. This is a joke. We didn't really lose a wheel." And about 3 rows up from her, somebody says, "We've lost a wheel." And then someone else further up goes, "Oh my God, we lost a wheel." And all of a sudden, the place goes bonkers. It's like that scene in Airplane where everybody just starts running around. The place goes crazy. And the 4 of us in our row know that it was just a joke, but everyone else starts screaming. They start panicking. People are banging for the oxygen mask to come down. The flight attendants start running around. They don't know what's going on. "We've lost a wheel. Oh my God, we've lost a wheel. The plane doesn't have any wheels." And you could see like the rumor go all the way up the airplane and then come all the way back. And somebody says, "What's going on?" And some other guy goes, "We've lost a wheel and the plane's on fire." And I'm like, "No, I never said the plane was on fire." But if you heard people like, "Oh, you could be arrested for shouting fire in a crowded building," I shouted, "We don't have a wheel in a crowded airplane." And panic ensued. And I'm like, "Oh no, I'm going to jail. I'm going to jail. Like, this has got to be a violation of some FAA policy. And when I got off this plane, they're going to put me in handcuffs." And so finally, the flight attendants come out and like, "Ladies and gentlemen, calm down. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. Please sit down, retake your seats, put on your seatbelts, calm down." I'm just kind of sitting there hoping I don't get in trouble. And finally, everyone calms down. And you hear the pilot comes back on the PA system. He goes, "Ladies and gentlemen, sorry about our delay. We had a little confusion about our flap indicator light. And we had to make a visual inspection, but everything's fine." I'm like, "I told you it's the flap indicator light." Turns out I'm an aviation specialist anyway. And so we come in for a landing, everything's fine. But they also said, "Don't be alarmed when we land, that there will be emergency services have been alerted because of our situation." Apparently, if the flap indicator light is a little askew, they roll out all the emergency vehicles. And so we land at Cincinnati Northern Kentucky Airport, and there's all these fire trucks with the flashers going, and the guys with the fire hoses ready to go. And so it was almost an emergency, but it was not an actual emergency. So what's the moral of this story? Words have power, right? When you say things, people hear them and they believe them. Rumors spread like wildfire. It's never happened faster than the way it happens in the world today. Usually not on an airplane, usually in social media. But I've had to learn to be careful of the things that I say, even when I'm joking, because people believe the things that they hear and they tell someone else and they tell something else. And you can't stop those rumors. Rumors can't be stopped. It's like trying to unring a bell. Right. I've seen people on social media a lot that they'll tell a rumor, they'll spread a rumor about somebody, they'll hear something and like, "I don't know if that's true, so I'll talk to somebody else anyway." And it damages relationships, it hurts people. And so, hey, if you're on an airplane or anywhere else, be careful what you say, even when you're joking. Don't spread gossip. If that lady would have had a heart attack and died, I'd have felt really bad. And so fortunately, everybody survived the time when we almost had to land a plane with no wheel and the plane on fire. And so try not to spread rumors. I'm going to try not to spread them. And hopefully I never find myself in a situation like that ever again.